Ladies and gentlemen, joining me on the line, he's all over from the professional wrestling world. He's got a new podcast coming out. Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Jarrett is on the line. Hey, Jeff, how you doing?
Hello, my friend. I appreciate you having me on. Looking forward to talking my world and a little wrestling here or anything anything your heart desires.
Well, I got to start out with a small story because, Jeff, listen, I'm a wrestling fan. I've watched you for years and stuff. I know that sounds creepy when you say it like that, but going back to the 90s, you guys did a Raw in Des Moines, right? And me and my buddies, we enjoyed it. We had a great time. We went to Perkins on Merle Hay Road here in Johnston afterwards, and I'll be damned if a guy in a red tight shirt, blonde hair, and black slacks walked in, and I go to my friends, I go, Jeff Jarrett just walked in this Perkins. And
get out of here.
No, listen. And my friends, they go, no way. And I go, no, Jeff Jarrett just walked in. And, being a teenager, you're trying not to look, but you're looking. And so I go, okay, I'm gonna walk by. So I walked by, and Jeff, it was you. I came back, and I'm like, oh my God, that's Jeff Jarrett over there, right? So as we're leaving, we walk past you. I thought, you know what? I'm never gonna get this chance again. I go, excuse me, sir, are you Jeff Jarrett? And you looked me dead in the eye, and you said no.
Oh boy, was I by myself?
Yeah, and
I was eating dinner by myself. And here's what's creepy: when you said red shirt, black jeans, I have a feeling I was coming or going to an appearance, and maybe in a hurry. But wow, what a childhood memory, huh?
No, it was funny because I kind of looked at you and gave you the look like, really? And you go, yeah, I'm Jeff Jarrett. And I said, sir, I just want to tell you guys had a great show tonight. Have a good night. And that was it. I just always thought that was the funniest thing. Jeff Jarrett lying to me at a Perkins.
Oh, how dare me lie?
Oh, it's so good. Well, Jeff, you're a busy guy now, right? You're all over the place.
Tell you what, man, life is good. Life is busy, but I never really dreamed that, I've been asked to do a podcast for several years, and I've always been in the promotion game, and whether, as a talent, I'm talking about a Monday Night Raw, a WCW Nitro, a TNA event, whatever it may be, or a pay-per-view. But now, with the launch of my world, I'll say the doors that it's opened and the platform and the interest, and I'm on a radio tour, and every week, your boss is my boss, but no, the Cumulus Network, we're all in the same family. They'll have another list of phoners for me to do, which I love doing, to get out and spread the word and talk about it. And Conrad is my broadcast partner, and he likes that I'm doing, I'm carrying this part of the ball. But it's really cool because, who would have thought podcasting would be what it is today? And it's such a enormous business and growing and exploding. But there's a real business model behind it. Obviously, you got to pay the bills too. Your station does is selling advertising, and the podcasting world, the ad component is really big. So it's fascinating to me, just the business side of it. Obviously, I've always been real fascinated by businesses and startups and everything that go with it. So yeah, it's been quite the ride. We're only 6 or 7 episodes in, but it's been quite the ride, and very, very fascinating, like I said, to see the business side of podcasting.
See, that's the thing about it, and this is where we get real nerdy with podcasting talk, but I don't think anybody's completely figured it out yet to where you can take a formula and apply it to somebody's podcast and boom, they're successful. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So Jeff Jarrett is on the line with me talking about his new podcast, My World. So is it just strictly about wrestling? Is it about, the day-to-day life of Jeff Jarrett? What are we getting into when we get into My World?
What's been really cool is, Conrad's format in the ad-free family. And, Conrad Thompson started a podcast about 4 years ago with, you may know him as Brother Love, but Bruce Pritchard, who's now executive creator, director of WWE. But he started about 4 years ago, and it's basically breaking down whether it's an event, a specific talent, an experience, a series of events, a series of pay-per-views, but it's all wrestling stories. But that's the base. What has really, really taken off, and, again, I'm only 6 episodes in, but we took off and went straight to the top of the charts, and that's just been a real blessing. But when we get into talking about this, and I can only speak for my world, is that, we talk about the story behind the story of why decisions are made or what may have happened in a wrestling context, but it bleeds itself over into and I just had lunch with some folks who are in the podcasting business. And one of the things they said was, in a lot of ways, you've got a little bit of a business podcast in there. You got a little bit of philosophy.
Yeah.
You've got, some trials and tribulations, a guy out on the road who's making a living for his family and has a wife and kids back home, and a soccer mom may doing this or that, and you may have side businesses. So it's really a very much a human experience, and relatable is the word they kept going back to. It's relatable in so many aspects, and I've never, connected those kind of dots. It's been my life. It's what my family's done since the 1940s. But hearing them talk about it and seeing the comments online has been really a bit overwhelming at times. But it's been really cool to hear people comment on it and what they comment about. Again, I'll go back to the story behind the story behind the story. Another saying that I keep referring to is it's really connecting dots for folks. Then all of a sudden, not just does the story make more sense, but in a lot of ways, our lives are connected.
Yeah.
And like you said, okay, so I didn't be completely honest with you. I lied to you at Perkins, but then you can hear the story. Why did I lie? I was in a hurry to eat, and I didn't want to cause a scene. Who knows? But no. It's been a cool experience to get these kind of stories out.
Jeff, I'm not even mad that you lied to. I always thought it was such a crazy story, and just to listen, I've been working in radio for almost 20 years now, so you run into wrestlers when they come into town and stuff. You're the only one I've ever just happened to run into. That's what made it funny to me.
Just a random sighting at a random sighting at Perkins.
Yeah.
I love it.
So Jeff Jarrett is on the line with me right now talking about My World. I actually think, and we were talking about it earlier, a couple of my coworkers and I, you talk about the story within the story within the story, and it is, for a wrestling fan or just, knowing some of the stories that you guys went through, but then to hear the other layers of it is what's fascinating. There's always the hearsay. It's like, well, I heard this about, Jeff Jarrett didn't want to do this, or you know what I'm saying, right?
Oh, yeah. Not to cut you off, I apologize. But,
No.
Episode 1 of My World is this story, and actually the title of the episode is, oh gosh, Conrad, it's basically, Jeff Jarrett holds up Vince McMahon. and just how silly and preposterous that is, because for a lot of years that was the narrative. But when you really break that story down, he didn't have to pay me if he didn't want to. He's the boss. He writes the check, writes the rules. It was his decision to make it, and we came to a business agreement. But I've gotten just overwhelmingly positive feedback, and that people are saying, now I understand all sides of that story, and that's sort of the cool part of it, that people had heard a version of the story, and you hear a story. I mean, no matter what it is, by the time it hits the airwaves, facts are so distorted. I mean, we live that every day. Whether you watch CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, it doesn't matter. There are facts being distorted all day, every day. We came through this pandemic. I mean, still to this day, they're talking about the Wuhan lab and what happened there and how's there, and then the World Health Organization, and then vaccinated, and then masks. And I'm not touching politics at all. I'm just using this as an analogy that it truly, facts can be distorted so many different ways, and that's human nature.
Yeah.
So me and Conrad breaking things down, it's me and Conrad and look, we're in the middle of the third episode on the creation of TNA, and my father wrote a book in 2004, but it was about 2002. And I can just tell you that even though he's my father, yes, it's his opinion, but he wrote it 18 months after it happened, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. He's got some facts distorted. But that's the fun of it.
Yeah.
I mean, that really is the fun of it, to dig in. And I really am. I'm going to go back to what I've told Conrad over lunch earlier today. I'm grateful that I'm getting this opportunity, because it is really a connectivity point, even though it's my history and these events happen, whether it's 5 years, 10, 15, 20. I just celebrated my 35th year in the business. But it's really unique to connect with people and people who live it at the time, but now obviously are grown up and they've got jobs, or maybe they got kids or even grandkids. And they're like, oh, wow, I never knew that. And all these years I thought. And it's like, yep, all these years you thought wrong, but that's part of life.
All right, I got to ask then, since you're using the My World title, that's a reference to the song from TNA, correct?
That's been my theme song. Yes, for years.
Was that supposed to be a slap in the face to Triple H at the time? I've always wondered it.
No, no. And let me ask, why would you say that?
Because it kind of sounded like the game, the Motorhead song. And don't get me
I hear you.
Don't get me wrong. I really like the My World thing, and I like the opening. You go back and you watch some of the TNA stuff, and you know when you make the surprise entrance, it's like I know exactly who that is. But I just always wondered that.
No, I can honestly say, me and Dave Oliver wrote that. You know, My World, me starting a promotion was obviously what that was wrapped around.
Yeah.
That was what the whole, you know, and obviously the lyrics written in it, and you know the first draft of the lyrics and the second draft. I mean, we went around and around about different, you know, at one time we had several talent named in the song, and then we ended up taking it out because it just, you know, it would have dated the song in some aspects. So, no, there was a lot of fun collaborating on that song. And, you know, I loved it from the day it came out. I never would have thought it would have been the title of a podcast 20 years later. But it stuck. That theme really, really resonated with fans. And so when me and Conrad were formulating what are we going to call the podcast, and we went back, it came real quick. It's a no-brainer. There's a theme. My World is synonymous with me, and now that's what the podcast is about, telling the stories of my world over the last 35 years.
There was a small part of me when you got inducted to the Hall of Fame with WWE that you'd come out to that. Like, I knew it was going to be the Double J theme, but I just thought that would have been a cool pop for the audience if that would have been the music that played, you know?
It would have been. I would have enjoyed that. You know, business is business, and I understand that.
Oh, Jeff Jarrett on the line with me. I know you got to get going. You're driving and stuff. Real quick, what can we look forward to with the podcast? Like, what's coming up?
I tell you what, man, it has. And Conrad, when we came together and did the deal, I said, Conrad, you're in charge of topics, because I don't believe I would be a good judge, because what may interest me may not interest the audience, and what may be boring to me, and I found this out quickly, may be very interested to the audience. You know, Conrad has broken down the creation of TNA. He's broken, you know, this down basically about a 6 to 9 month period of my life into 3 episodes. So we've gotten really, really granular on the starting of TNA. And so, you know, we did episode 3 was remembering a great friend, one of my best friends, Owen Hart, who tragically passed away. But in July, we're going to get into WCW stories and Bash at the Beach. And the creation of the Double J character. We're going to get into some TNA stories. We're going to go back and actually get into some Memphis, the territory stories, and Jerry Lawler. And, you know, Conrad's got the whole year basically laid out. So 35 years in this industry, from WWF to WCW to the Memphis territory days to Japan and Puerto Rico and Global Force and TNA to the Hall of Fame stage. It's we've got a lot of ground to cover, but we're excited about it.
Well, Jeff, we wish you nothing but the best, man, and good luck to you. I can't wait to hear it all, okay?
I appreciate it, my friend. Appreciate your time today. And yes, sir, anywhere you can subscribe, the easiest way is to go to realjeffjarrett.com. Subscribe there, or all my social media platforms are at Real Jeff Jarrett. So give it a listen and give it a try. I think you'll be entertained.
All right, perfect, Jeff. We'll see you down the road, all right?
Thanks, my friend. You have a great afternoon.